Morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay? If I talk at that level, that's really great. Thanks ever so much for coming to my talk. I'm Steve Malkin, founder of the Planet Mark, talking a bit about net zero and our transformation program. Please come in. It's lovely to see you. Okay, I started working in this industry about 2006. And I would never have thought you could come to a two-day event filling up Olympia where there's queues of people outside to talk about cutting carbon. So I just think it's just wonderful to be here on this amazing journey that we're taking at the moment. And because we've been going for about 10 years at the Planet Mark, I thought you might be saying, well, what on earth are we doing in an innovation forum? And I just want to explain why. And you might see where I'm going with this kind of metaphor thing. So let's take this fella here whose life literally depends on embracing change. You can say he's got to do it every single day. He's got to embrace change, and it is certainly good for his way of living. So we think this is kind of a cool metaphor for the work that we do at the Planet Mark and for what we do as an industry to embrace change, because literally it's life-changing, it's life-enhancing, and it's about survival. It's survival for him, and it's survival for us. So we really welcome, I don't know if, can you sort of come, I mean, it's a bit like a tube train here, so we've got to clear the doors a little bit. I don't know if you want to come in a bit. And that's super nice that everyone wants to talk about net zero, which is another sort of like exciting moment for all of us. So what we would like to do with everyone here is that despite the fact the Planet Mark has been going for 10 years, we still continue to strive to be open, to innovate, to embrace change, because we have to. So everything that we're doing here today and with our stand and beyond is that we'd love to talk to you. So it's about having these conversations to say, how might we work together? How might we collaborate together to continue to drive this net zero transformation? Because we have to constantly embrace change. And the reason why I'm super comfortable about having these amazing conversations is that I know that we're all going to be absolutely aligned about our purpose. And our purpose is to create a brighter future, a better way of living. And we can only do that by collaborating and working together. And that's literally why we started the Planet Mark back in 2013. You're going to keep me to time, right? Great. And then, so back in 2013, we wanted to set up a certification and a program that enabled any sorts of organizations, large or small, and in particular those SMEs who were under supported at the time back then, to measure and reduce carbon on an annual basis using scopes 1, 2, and 3, using evidence-based data. By engaging their people in the process, they could run their own sustainability programs, which would make them true and authentic and trusted. And then by embedding communication into a certification, it required transparent, trusted reporting. And you can see where we're going with this thing 10 years later. It's all over net zero, right? Yeah, we have to trust what we as companies are saying and doing, that we are permanently and relentlessly cutting carbon. And that's what we do at Planet Mark, and that's what we do as an ecosystem of organizations, large and small. And what we want to do and what we are doing is we're creating a Planet Mark community, a movement for change. 700 companies now. We started like with 30, and there's only 5 of us doing this job. And to be frank, for the first 5 years, it's pretty hard work. Now life is really, really different. We started our net zero program in 2018, and we've learned a lot in the process. And part of that learning is that we have to create a value chain for net zero, which is where you connect the dots. You connect the dots of demand and supply. So in our ecosystem here today, we'd love to talk to suppliers who are enabling the net zero transition to take place, because we want to embed that technology, those ways of thinking and doing, the psychologies of change into our net zero action plans, and then deliver them at scale globally. So we get incredible results from our community. 11% absolute carbon reduction. It's really good. This is organizations' own carbon reduction. We support them in that program, but it's their work. It's authentically theirs. It's a culture of carbon reduction and change. 14% by employee, but we have a 99% success rate in helping all sorts of organizations cut carbon. And that's because we work together to deliver it. And we have a net zero program now, which is fully developed. It looks a bit overpowering in one screen, but we're going from baselining and upskilling through to everything about scope 3 measurement, scope 3 reduction, scope 3 solutions, through to net zero action plans and strategies to achieve that decarbonisation, and then the deployment, and then ensuring that companies are staying on their pathway, their SBTI aligned pathways to net zero. And we know this is super important, getting that baseline into place, ensuring that companies have got a credible baseline, ensuring that they're reducing their emissions by 50% by 2030 and 90% as soon as possible afterwards. And by the way, we're going to be working way in advance of 2050. We all know we have to, and let's do it together. And that journey for every single business might be bumpy, yeah? So we have to ensure that we're deploying the technology, the innovation, the ideas to help them accelerate that change and make it faster all the way down. Everything that we're doing is checked, yeah? So we're a founder partner for the UN Race to Zero. Our work with UK GBC, GRESB and others on our net zero buildings, our net zero certifications is all checked and sort of recognised. But we're working to not just take this sort of policy into practice, we're also taking practice back into policy. So the role of the Planet Mark now is not just about making those actions happen. What we also want to do is ensure that the practical experience of organisations is fed back into policymakers. And that's what we're doing as well. So just to reassure you, we're giving a horizon view about what's coming down the track, but we're also trying to ensure that we're improving policy making and the standards that we're all going to be reporting to, so it's better for all of us and so we can accelerate that net zero journey. And we take this message wherever we can. Events like today, and it's just great to see so many people here, online with multiple sort of events and channels and work that we can be doing together. So if you want support in telling a net zero story, please talk to us. And I don't know if any of you were involved with the Carbon Battle Bus. To be frank, we're looking for any excuse possible to put this electric bus back on the road because it was super popular. It was fantastic. We did 125 events, didn't we? 125 events, 10,000 people came, and we proved that an electric bus can get around the UK, which we all know anyway, but the Daily Express, for instance, didn't believe us, but we did it, and we want to put this bus back on the road so we can take the net zero story to every single business, everywhere in this country and beyond. And we'd love for you to join us on the journey. Yeah? Not quite yet. We'd love you to join us on the journey. See me today, my team, see us on the stand, or connect with us afterwards. So if you could take a picture of this, and if you do want to have a chat, we'd love to talk to everybody in the room and help make it happen. Thank you.
Easy.
I might have talked a bit quick, but I hope you kind of got the message. I think we're going to try and do some questions if we fancy it.
So what happens now, it's crowded. Before it wasn't as crowded. People are asking questions. Now everyone's a bit shyer, but it's here if you want.
There's one at the back.
Okay, we'll get it.
We get a mic. I hope we're having a great show, by the way. I can't wait to get out there. It's just fantastic, isn't it?
Thank you, that was really great. So the predominant part of my work is with startups. And I'm wondering where the sweet spot is for you, the businesses that you work with, to help them through that journey. What businesses do you typically come across your desk?
Yeah, it's a really good point. So we love startups, micro businesses, sole traders, entrepreneurs, and so on. So I think that, but our sweet spot for our certification is for slightly larger organisations who can get their arms around their own data that we can then interrogate, ensure it's evidence-based, and then certify. Having said that, we also know that those startups and entrepreneurs are the ones who are providing the solutions that we actually want to see rolled out. So we generally try to signpost startups and smaller businesses into places where you can get free free materials and resources and calculations. So our sort of sweet spot, probably companies of 50 people plus, and up to sort of like larger corporations. But we never ever want to leave anyone behind. So we will always try to signpost and support wherever we can. Does that help?
Hi, I'm Meenakshi. I work with 8Versa. And I was just curious to understand what are you doing about sort of data quality? Because I understand that that's potentially an issue in terms of data collection with the companies that you work with. So how do you sort of work towards improving that year on year?
So data quality and how also we've been, I think we were a little bit slow to market on our technology, but we've got a platform now which does all of our calculations. We have data ingestion, we have forward forecasting. So all of that is good, and we're going to continue to build out our technology. The issue we've got is actually trying to find that data and pull it out. So there's a couple of things that we're doing there. One is to try and get data import more frictionless, go directly to suppliers. But secondly, I think if you're looking at scope 3 and the value chain, but if you go up the value chain to suppliers, we have a supply chain engagement program which actually talks to people and encourages them and helps and supports them to give you or us the data that we need. And I think that part of our experience of working with SMEs and smaller businesses has really helped us understand how to get that data out of companies on a more personal basis.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome. Scope 3, right? Wow, yeah, scope 3. One at the back. The elephant in the room. But it's doable though, yeah? If you can make getting data relevant to an individual and an individual in the company, that really helps.
Hey, Steve. Science-based targets. So what is the platform that we need to align ourselves against? Is it, you keep hearing that there are different methodologies that we need to align against. Which one should we do?
Well, wow, good feedback. So SBTI aligned, yeah, is a given. Sort of like we're sort of platform agnostic, so we work with any types of organisations and so on. But we're just reinforcing a simple message that you'll be reducing carbon by 50% by 2030, 90% by 2050 latest, but then bring that forward. So always it's those near-term targets that we're really focused on for 2030. So definitely SBTI aligned. I think that the work we're doing in the policy sector is also sort of informing the change which is coming down the track about where there might be sector-specific things and targets that companies need to align with, and we'll be feeding that back into those sort of industry verticals, if that makes sense. Yeah? So what you're saying is, do you sign up to science-based targets yourself as an organisation, right? You have to look at the business case for everything that you do. So everything on sustainability is correlated against a business case. If you see value in doing it, yes. If not, in actual fact, you can be certified with something like that we're doing to say, yes, we're meeting the science-based targets, and we're checking you on that pathway to ensure that your transition is going to meet those SBTIs without necessarily signing up. But your pathway, your transition plan is super important to ensure that you're doing it. There's got to be trust here. You have to ensure that year on year, you're on that pathway to that SBTI aligned route, if you like, and then set out your journey to get to it. But check it every single year to see that you're on track. That governance is super important to build trust in what we're doing together and in net zero generally, which is what everybody needs.
All right, you've got 40 seconds. So my last question will be, what are the 3 things on your wish list? The context has got to be, to the gentleman's question, the majority of companies are not signed up to anything. So we have to address the elephant in the room, which is we're not on the right path as a collective. There are people on the right path. What's on your three things on your wish list to start having us aligned to the real net zero journey?
So ensure that if your organisation itself is actually has set and is delivering on a net zero target, if that's what your organisation must be living and breathing it. Number 2 is ensure that you're actually SBTI aligned. We have to hit this or better. Yeah, and then the third thing is put pressure on anywhere that you can inform policy. Yeah, so use your vote, use your voice in any places where we can actually get more emphasis and more support for everything we're doing around net zero. Biodiversity, there's some good news today, I think, out on the news. So that biodiversity and also eradicating inequality. We're in a planetary crisis. This is about climate, nature and people. And actually we can tackle all those 3 things together.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you,